Well, here we are again for another episode of Down Home with the Rambling Southern Gentleman. And tonight I have back with me my co host, Leah.
Hello, everyone.
Welcome back.
Nice to be here.
Glad to have you. And the feature food for this episode is squash casserole, one of my all-time favorite foods.
That's mine too.
You can't go wrong with a squash casserole.
You really can't.
As long as it's got Ritz cracker topping.
Absolutely.
And our featured phrase for this episode is "Go back and lick that calf again."
What is that?
Have you ever seen a cow lick her newborn calf?
What do you think?
No. It just means go back and do that job again. You either didn't finish it or didn't do a good job the first time.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So how was your week?
It's been pretty good. How about yours?
Oh, same old, same old. Christmas is this month.
It sure is.
Have you done any Christmas shopping?
Absolutely.
That doesn't surprise me. Well, have you been to the Galleria?
No, not yet.
Well, that surprises me too.
Mm-hmm.
I remember you telling me about how when you moved out to the Boondocks, you were quite amazed at how the kids in your elementary school class thought it was quite an occasion to go to the Galleria.
Well, it was kindergarten, and it was actually Century Plaza. This was pre-Galleria.
Okay.
And I said I was going shopping after school. They said, "Where?" And I said, "Well, Century Plaza." And they said, "Where is that?" And I was like, "Where are y'all shopping?"
Well, you grew up in Birmingham.
Yes.
So that was just right around the corner.
Oh, yeah. That's the only place we shop.
Well, for us Boondockians, it was quite an event to go to Century Plaza or to the Galleria. I remember going. We always went once a year to both the Galleria and Century Plaza, and it was right before Christmas, and it was an event, and we thought we were somebody.
Big time, huh?
Well, with Christmas this month, and of course just coming out of the Thanksgiving holidays, food has been at the forefront of my mind. As you know, I just love food. I'm quite the bona fide hog.
You are not. But pardon the interruption, but do you know what would go good with this squash casserole?
What?
A cobbler of some sort.
Well, you know as well as any, I'm always keen on a cobbler. I think strawberry is my favorite, but then again, chocolate is pretty good, and well, I'm not even a big chocolate fan, but I do like a chocolate cobbler.
I like blueberry cobbler, I think, the best.
I do like blueberry. Everybody raves about peach cobbler, and I can take that or leave it.
Same.
Of course, I'm not going to refuse it, but I would prefer a strawberry or even a blueberry. But you know how much I love food, and that reminds me of a little story.
Okay.
This was after I had moved out of Mom and Daddy's house, and I went over a few times during the week to visit. And of course, I was hungry that evening or afternoon. I went over to see him. I was so hungry I could eat a horse, and I wanted some victuals. And when I walked in the kitchen door, the smell of food hit me, and which I figured there would be some food since I went around supper time.
Mm-hmm.
And it looked like they had already ate, which they were early eaters. And so I scoped out the kitchen, and there was a glass casserole dish sitting on the stove.
Mm.
And it had a lot of stuff in it, and a lot of stuff mixed together. And I figured Daddy had fixed it. At that time, Mama had rejoined the workforce, and so he did a lot of the cooking, and a lot of his things were very interesting. So I scoped it out, and I thought, well, I'll try some of that. And I could tell there was some rice, and there was chicken in there. It looked like a chicken carcass, but with meat still on it. And I thought, well, maybe he cooked the chicken on top of the rice,
Yeah.
bone in,
Mm-hmm.
and they had just carved the meat off of it and scooped rice out. And there was some other stuff in there. So I decided to give it a try.
Mm-hmm.
And I grabbed a serving spoon, and I did something that Mama would have swatted me for, but I ate right out of the pan.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't bad. It wasn't all that good. But anyway, I ate a few more bites, and then I thought, well, if I don't go on into the living room, they're going to get a little suspicious as to what I'm doing. So I put down this big old serving spoon, and I went in the kitchen and sat down on the couch and greeted both of them. And we talked for a second, and I said, that was pretty good in the kitchen. What was that? And Daddy just looked at me, and he said, what do you mean? And I said, what did y'all have for supper? And I mean, it was still warm, so
Mm-hmm.
I really thought it was their supper. And he looked at me even harder, and he said, what are you talking about? And I said, the casserole on the stove. What was that? It was good. And I mean, it wasn't all that good, but might as well pay a compliment.
Yeah.
And he just shook his head, and he said, I don't know what you're talking about. I haven't cooked anything yet. And I stared at him, and I wondered if he was having a stroke, because I mean, I had just saw it and ate some of it. And I said, well, that chicken and rice in there on the stove. And he said, oh, well, that's scraps from the past couple of days that I just warmed up that I was going to feed the dogs. And my heart sank. My stomach flipped over. I looked at Mama, and she looked up from her cell phone, scrolling on her cell phone over her glasses. And he kind of snickered, and he said, did you eat some of that? And well, I didn't reply, and Mama busted out laughing, and she said, well, how was it? And I said, well, I'm just going to be honest with you. I mean, I'd have a plate of it, but now that I know it's scraps, I think I will pass on it. But that's not the only time I've ever ate something questionable. One time I went over to Aunt Margaret's house. I guess I was about 12, 13 years old. And of course, when I got there, I went straight to the refrigerator because she always had something good in there that she had fixed through the week.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I opened the refrigerator, I saw a Tupperware container, and I got it out, opened it up, and it smelled like chili.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, boy, that looks really good. It looks like it's got a good, solid, thick coating of cheese on the top of it. And I had never known her to make chili,
Mm-hmm.
much less use that much cheese. And so I got me a spoon, and I dug in the top of it, and being the cheese fan that I am, I got a big scoop of what I thought was cheese and ate it without the chili.
Mm-hmm.
And once it got in my mouth and I started sloshing it around and chewing on it, it did not have the consistency of cheese. And I didn't know what it was. And so I thought, well, I don't want to hurt her feelings. That's not good at all. So I put the top back on and put it in the refrigerator and went to the den where she was and sat down to talk to her. And I brought up the chili in the refrigerator. And she said, oh, yeah, I made that this week. It turned out fairly decent. And I said, well, what possessed you to put that much cheese on the top of it? And she looked at me and she said, I didn't put any cheese at all in it. And I said, well, there was a solid layer of yellow stuff on the top of it. And she thought for a minute and she said, oh, I guess the fat rose to the top. So, anyway, I ate a big old spoonful of fat off that chili. And I didn't partake of the chili the rest of the weekend.
Oh, gross. I see you over there wiping your side of the table with the alcohol wipe.
Well, you know, I'm a bit of a germaphobe and I can't stand anything greasy or sticky. And I had a bit of schmutz over here. And I don't know what it is.
Speaking of being a germaphobe, that reminds me of that story you told me about the day your life fell apart on the Red Lobster bathroom floor.
Yes, I remember that day pretty well. Me and cousin Betty, who I had many adventures with as a teenager. Of course, she was a little older than my mother, but she was like an aunt to me. And anytime she would go to Birmingham, for whatever reason, she would call and want to know if I wanted to join her. And of course, I always did. And one of her favorite places to go was Sam's. So one day she called me up during the summer and asked if I wanted to go down to Sam's with her, and I wasn't going to pass the opportunity by. So we loaded up and went to Sam's, and she done her shopping, and I had a little pocket money, so I had to get a big old bulk pack of miniature pecan pies. And after we left Sam's, we would always go somewhere to eat. And she suggested Red Lobster, and that was fine with me. And so we went over to the Red Lobster. I can't remember if it was maybe Irondale or
Yeah.
maybe, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, we had our meal, and before we left, I had to use the bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was wearing flip-flops, and because it was summer, but then again, I wear flip-flops during the winter. And I went in the bathroom, and she was waiting on me out in the waiting area. And when I entered the bathroom, I noticed real quick that the floor was super greasy. And I can't stand anything that's greasy. Mm-hmm. But anyway, I squinched my toes up and held on to my flip-flops the best I could. And as I walked over to one of the stalls, the strap on my flip-flop broke and I got tripped up and fell on the floor. One of my worst nightmares. Being a bit of a germaphobe, I just, as soon, on my way down to the floor, I was cringing. Not that I was afraid that it was going to hurt or anything, but that I was about to roll around in a nasty, greasy Red Lobster bathroom floor.
Ugh.
So anyway, down to the ground I went, and I rolled over, wallering like a hog to try to get up as fast as I could. Well, in my haste to get myself up off that floor, I reached out for anything I could grab a hold of.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I grabbed a hold of a garbage can, and it was a lightweight, I don't know how many gallon, but one of the tall kitchen garbage cans that they had probably bought at Dollar General or Walmart. And when I grabbed a hold of it, over it came on top of me.
Oh, no.
And it was packed full of dirty paper towels.
Oh, gross.
So all that went over on me, and of course I panicked at that, and so I rolled around on the floor a couple of more turns, trying to get up, and I finally got up, and I went and used the bathroom, and went to wash my hands, and when I got to the sink, I spread soap all the way up to my elbows.
I bet.
And I scrubbed, and but the best part of it was while I was rolling around in the floor like a hog, the door opened and a man stepped 2 feet into the bathroom, saw what was going on, and immediately turned around and walked out. Well, when I got myself cleaned up as best I could and dried off, I walked out, and Betty was waiting in the waiting area, and she said, "What was going on in there?" And I said, "Well, what do you mean?" Of course, I can't I've got to protect my pride. I can't let anybody know that I fail.
Right.
And I said, "Well, what do you mean?" And she said, "Well, it sounded like an elephant on a trampoline in there." And I said, "Well, I fell." And she said, "Well, I wondered why that man took 2 steps into that bathroom and turned around and came out. And I could hear you grunting. I was a little concerned." But anyway, that's the story of how not only my pride, but my whole life came shattering at the tender age of 14 in the bathroom floor of a Red Lobster.
Oh, gosh.
And but not only can I not stand greasy stuff, but I can't stand for anything to be sticky.
Mm-hmm.
And when we were kids, my sister thought it would be a good idea to get my Lego play table that would sit across my lap,
Mm-hmm.
with pockets on each side for Legos to be stored in, and then the base plates over the lap area. She thought it would make a great TV dinner lap table
Mm-hmm.
for her pancake breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
And she wallered around and turned her pancakes over, and
Oh.
syrup went in both pockets,
Oh, gross.
all over my Legos. Well, she just put it to the side and put the top back down on it, and left it for me to find. And it was quite a surprise. Well, as time does, it's time for us to take a break, so stay tuned, and we'll be back with this episode's main story, and that's about Harper Lee. Welcome back. So let's dive into our main story for today. Today's main topic is Nelle Harper Lee, the author of To Kill a Mockingbird. In 1964, during the only known recorded interview of Nelle Harper Lee, the interviewer for WQXR radio asked Lee why she thought so many great writers were from and had their roots in the South. She stated, "I think we are a region of storytellers naturally." She went on to say in so many words that we as Southerners were generally and relatively devoid of the pleasures of the theater, the dance, and later motion pictures when they came onto the scene, when compared with other areas of the nation. So we simply entertained each other by talking, which led to writing. Nelle Harper Lee was born in Monroeville, Alabama, in Monroe County on April the 28th, 1926. She was the youngest offspring of Amasa Coleman Lee, an attorney in Monroeville, and Frances Finch, who reportedly struggled with mental health issues. Today, she would have probably been diagnosed as a manic depressive. She's reported to have said that money was tight during her childhood, despite her father being an attorney. This was small-town Alabama during the Great Depression, so that's not a stretch for the imagination. Her and her siblings were left to their own devices for play and entertainment. It was said that they would read a story in print and then take what they had read out to the backyard and turn it into a performance of high drama. And who hasn't done such as that as a kid? Unfortunately, in today's world, instead of kids reading great stories, the plots of those high dramas and adventures would stem from TV or streaming, or if at all. Lee developed a knack for writing through grammar school in Monroeville. She attended Huntington College in Montgomery from 1944 through 1945, and then transferred to the University of Alabama in 1945 to pursue a degree in law. She left the university in 1949 before attaining that degree in law and moved to New York City to pursue a career in writing. There, she worked in a bookstore and then as a reservations clerk for an airline. One Christmas, while in New York City, she was spending Christmas time with her friends where they had a very special gift for Nelle. The couple gave her an envelope with cash in it so she could quit her job in an airline's reservation office as a clerk and to start writing full time. She took the cash and set out to be a professional writer. She wrote about that Christmas and the gift she received in an article published in McCall's magazine entitled Christmas to Me. Had it not been for the generosity of those friends, the world may have never been blessed with To Kill a Mockingbird. After receiving the gift, Nelle set out to do some serious writing after quitting her job at the airline's reservation office. During the writing of To Kill a Mockingbird, of which Nelle referred to as the bird to friends, she was interrupted by the death of her mother and brother. After taking time to grieve the loss, she got back to writing. After completing the manuscript for the bird, she accompanied her old beloved childhood friend Truman Capote to Kansas to assist him with his true crime book entitled In Cold Blood. After her work with Capote on his project, she admitted that crime intrigued her very much. It's been reported in both oral and written histories that during this time she was working on her own true crime project about a number of unsolved murders in a small central Alabama town. The work was supposedly entitled The Reverend. However, no such work has been unearthed. But if history repeats itself, give it time and her estate trustee may announce that work has magically appeared. I wonder where it'll be this time, in her cookie jar. To Kill a Mockingbird was Lee's most famous work and only published novel until 2015 when Go Set a Watchman was announced. The Bird was released in 1960 and won the Pulitzer Prize in 1961. From what I have read, I believe Lee was pleasantly surprised by the book's success. It has become required reading in not only Southern schools, but schools all across the nation. It's studied at both the high school and college level. The story sheds light on small-town life in the South during the 1930s and the racial tensions and social class dynamics of the region and of the time. Its publication during the Civil Rights era was great timing and helped shed insight into and shine a bright light on a subject that tragically was often ignored by many at the time. In 1962, To Kill a Mockingbird was adapted for a major motion picture starring Gregory Peck. Nelle was present and close during the film's production. She was noted as being very pleased with the outcome of the picture. It's often praised by film critics, literary critics, and the viewing public as one of the best film adaptations of a book. The movie has become required watching for those students who have just finished reading the novel. As with any film to book adaptation, it's of the utmost importance to read the book before watching the movie. Lee published several articles and short stories in the early 1960s. She claimed that she was working on a new novel during the time shortly after To Kill a Mockingbird was released, but later stated that work had taken up too much of her and her family's time and was forgotten about. Since its release, To Kill a Mockingbird has won many awards and received much esteemed recognition. In 2007, Lee returned to her hometown after suffering a stroke while in New York. She resided in an assisted living facility in Monroeville. In early 2015, HarperCollins, the publisher, announced the publication of Go Set a Watchman. It was said the forthcoming second novel wasn't a sequel to The Bird, but an earlier draft of To Kill a Mockingbird. I'm not sure if I personally believe that, due to the whole plot, perspective, and time settings of each book being totally different. Go Set a Watchman, which stirred much controversy, was supposedly found in a safe deposit box while taking inventory of Lee's estate while she was in the assisted living facility. It was questioned at the time whether she would want it published and if she was truly confident enough to consent to its publication. Apparently, it was found that she was competent and that she did indeed consent to the publication of the work. Lee was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 2007 by President Bush. She later received the National Medal of Arts in 2010 from President Obama. Lee died on February the 19th, 2016, and was buried in Hillcrest Cemetery in her hometown of Monroeville. On October the 21st, 2025, a book entitled The Land of Sweet Forever was released. According to the publisher, the book contains 8 newly discovered and unpublished short stories by Lee, as well as other previously published magazine articles and essays. Personally, I find it odd that a woman who was a recluse and did not grant interviews was noted as saying, when asked about future books, "I had a story to tell, and I have told it," would consent to Go Set a Watchman being published, especially if it were an earlier draft of The Bird as claimed. I don't know if I believe that it's an earlier draft of The Bird or not. I find it just a little odd that she consented to the publication only after being in an assisted living facility after a stroke. I also find it a little bit odd that now that she has passed away, they are discovering new works of hers. I feel like if she had wanted them to be published, she would have saw to it while she was still alive. Then again, people change their minds every day, so maybe she did. However, she couldn't change her mind from beyond the grave, so I take the news of newly discovered material with a grain of suspicion. I did purchase the book in the Land of Sweet Forever when it was released, and I had a hard time getting into it. Of course, it's a collection of short stories and essays, but the majority that I have read, and I've not finished the book as of this recording, but the stories that I have read just lack something. I know To Kill a Mockingbird was a once in a lifetime hit, and it would be hard to live up to that. But I just find the writing a bit off, and to be honest, I'm not sure if I'll even finish the book. But anyway, that was today's topic, and or today's main topic. And now it's time for another break. Stay tuned and join us for the last half of the show. Well, welcome back from the break. Going back to the main story of Harper Lee, I really like her quote about Southerners being natural storytellers that she told or said during that one recorded interview that she did. It was a tradition in my family. Both Mom and Daddy were excellent storytellers, and Daddy still is.
Yeah, he is.
And of course, Aunt Margaret was a good storyteller, and my granddaddy Paul was a good storyteller, and granddaddy on Daddy's side was a good storyteller.
Your Aunt Pat can tell some good stories too.
That she can, but she can also be the subject of some good stories.
She sure can.
Just like the time she thought she parked in a tree, or yeah, she was the character in that story, as well as the one I've told on a previous episode of her being drugged by that Toyota Avalon down the hill, down the street in Greenville as Japanese tourists looked on. And Mama's knack was for painting you a picture, especially of her childhood, of her upbringing around home. She was full of excellent stories. Some of her favorite stories were her adventures as a child. Where she grew up, in the house she grew up, just a stone throw away was the Tumbling Gap Tunnel and the railroad. And she would tell how she would walk down to the railroad tracks, waiting for the train to come through, and she would put coins on the track and then walk to the tunnel, and then her fishing adventures, and she was just full of stories, and I really miss that, and I wish I had more of her stories on record.
Yeah.
And thankfully, we've got some stuff that she had wrote, and also some of her stories even made it into the newspaper a couple of times, thanks to Mr. Harry Butler. He was an excellent writer, and he's certainly missed for sure. And I think my strength is in writing. I can tell a story in person, one-on-one, or to a small group, but I have difficulty when I'm put on the spot and asked to tell anything.
Yeah.
If it comes up naturally, I can tell a good story. But I think I write better than I can tell a story, especially something like this. This show, it's really hard for me. I get nervous, and I just think I'm better at the written word, and maybe one day, maybe a book will come out of it.
I hope so.
But anyway, moving on. Okay, with Harper Lee as our main character for today, or main story. Her childhood friend was Truman Capote.
Yes.
Well, I can't say that I was ever a fan of his, although his contribution to In Cold Blood really shook up that genre during that time period. Of course, I have my questions about the book and how it came about. It's my personal opinion, and only my opinion, that I think Miss Lee had a little more to do with the book than what was let on.
Absolutely.
I just find it, just from the interviews I've seen of Truman, I'm just not sure that he could have produced such a well-written work himself.
I don't think so either.
And maybe he did, and maybe Miss Lee just put it together for him.
Maybe.
But who knows? But anyway, that's besides the point. Do you remember the Fruitcake Lady from Jay Leno?
Oh, yeah, she was so funny.
That she was. When I was doing research for the show, I discovered her connection with Harper Lee.
Oh, wow.
It turns out that she, and her name is Marie Rudisill, I think that's how it's pronounced, was actually Truman Capote's aunt.
What?
And she assisted in raising him.
I had no idea.
Yes, so when he would come to Monroeville, he would stay with that group of family, and she was actually a relative, or his aunt, who helped raise him. And Capote wrote in his work A Christmas Memory about making fruitcakes with his family member named Sook. Her name was Sook Falk, and that was actually Marie's eccentric aunt.
Oh, okay.
And Marie carried on the family tradition of making fruitcakes and published a book named Fruitcakes Memories of Truman Capote and Sook. And that was published in the year 2000. Well, on the publicity tour, she ended up on Jay Leno's show, and she showed Jay and his guest host, and I can't remember who that was at the time. But anyway, she demonstrated on how to make a fruitcake with a southern twist.
Mm-hmm.
And her wit and advice landed her a reoccurring segment named Ask the Fruitcake Lady, where she was asked for advice and her opinion on different things, to which she always had a funny, witty, and, well, insightful reply. And of course, her replies were clearly Southern through and through.
Oh, definitely.
So moving on, since it is the Christmas season, I thought of a funny story about playing the piano.
Well, tell me about it.
So at work, we do a get-together for children.
Mm-hmm.
And one year, it's been several years ago, work brought a piano in.
Mm-hmm.
And it was in the lobby at work, and I decided to play around on it, and I played Jingle Bells.
Mm-hmm.
And some people heard me, of course, there at work, and word got around to the powers that be that I could play the piano.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was asked if I wanted to play the piano for the get-together. And I stupidly said yes. And so I was to play one or two songs, and of course the first one I chose was Jingle Bells.
Mm-hmm.
So the time came, and everybody gathered around the piano, the kids and their parents and co-workers, and I was put on the spot. Mm-hmm. And you know how I crumble when being put on the spot.
Yes, I do.
So I just jumped into it and started playing Jingle Bells. Had my sheet music in front of me, and a co-worker sat on the bench with me and was leading the singing. And I was so nervous, and I started out okay, and then somewhere a few lines down in the music, I lost my place. I broke out in a sweat, and it all went downhill from there. Somehow I just, everything went blurry, and I was trying to remember Jingle Bells, and they're trying to sing it, and everybody starts looking at me like, what's going on? And I don't know, and somehow I spliced in Victory in Jesus.
Wow.
In that rendition of Jingle Bells. Little did they know it was going to be a medley, I guess.
Just went right off the rails.
It went off the rails. And it was very apparent something was wrong. And the kids picked up on it. And I swear I heard kids crying. People were looking at me. I was sweating. In 10 seconds, I had sweated clean through my dress clothes. And thankfully, it ended. I don't remember it ending, but it had to have. And I got up off that bench and made quite a hasty exit. So as you can guess, I was never asked to play the piano again. However, I do enjoy tickling the ivories in private.
Yes.
But I don't think I'll ever play in public again.
Well, I don't blame you. It sounds like your soul left your body.
It did. It absolutely did. But anyway, I forgot to tell you that I got my hands on a Little Debbie Christmas tree cake blow mold.
What? Pray tell, what is a blow mold?
I figured you'd ask that. Have you ever seen in somebody's front yard or on their porch plastic figures about waist height or shoulder height that light up like Santa Clauses, snowmen, reindeer,
Yeah.
nativity scenes?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's a blow mold.
Okay.
So you may ask what possessed me to want such a thing.
Well, I think I clearly know.
Well, as you know, Christmas would not be Christmas without a Little Debbie Christmas tree cake.
That is the truth.
I could eat a box in one sitting.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I've pulled us an odd story
Mm-hmm.
for us to take a look at. It's about a squirrel that went berserk.
Oh, best kind.
Well, yeah, and it wasn't at the First Self-Righteous Church in a sleepy little town called Pascagoula. Do you know what I'm referring to?
I think so, but tell me.
Ray Stevens,
Oh, yes.
the Mississippi Squirrel Revival.
I thought that's what it was, but I wanted to make sure.
Absolutely. So let's get into that story. Okay, I'm going to read you this news article.
Okay.
The headline was, "Very mean squirrel seeking food has sent at least 2 people to the ER in California City."
Oh.
Residents of a San Francisco Bay Area city are on the lookout for an aggressive squirrel that has sent at least 2 people to the emergency room for medical treatment. Joan Heblack told ABC affiliate KGO-TV that she was walking in the Lucas Valley neighborhood of San Rafael when a squirrel seemingly came out of nowhere and attacked her leg, clawing and biting. "It clamped on my leg. The tail was flying up here. I was like, get it off me, get off me," Heblack said. Isabel Campoy also said she was attacked while walking in the same area. The squirrel launched itself from the ground to her face and wound up on her arm, leaving it bloody, she said.
Oh.
Both women went to the emergency room, the TV station reported in its Monday story. Flyers now have been posted warning residents that the squirrel is no joke and that more than 5 people have been attacked by a very mean squirrel that comes out of nowhere.
Well.
Lisa Block with Marin Humane, I guess that's how that's pronounced, says they have had no reports of squirrel attacks since mid-September.
Well.
If the squirrel crops up again, the nonprofit will coordinate with the state to remove the animal, she said. "We've seen this kind of behavior before," she said. It's almost always because someone has been feeding the animal.
Well.
The good thing is that squirrels are not vectors for rabies.
I didn't know that.
She says people should never feed wildlife. San Rafael is in Marin County, about 20 miles north of San Francisco.
Oh, okay.
So let's talk about that a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you know, there's a big difference between Alabama and San Francisco.
Yeah.
If that had happened here,
Mm-hmm.
the squirrel probably would not have attacked the second person.
No. That squirrel wouldn't still be around.
It would not have made it back up that tree.
Mm-mm.
Because people are packing around here.
Someone would have made it into squirrel dumplings, possibly.
Absolutely. And had a squirrel cap
Mm-hmm.
to go with it. But anyway, can you imagine walking down the trail and that son of a gun launch itself up in your hair?
You know I'd have a heart attack. I'd rip every hair on my head out.
Absolutely. But it reminds me in the movie Christmas Vacation.
Squirrel.
When the squirrel is in the Christmas tree.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine that's how those attacked by that squirrel was moving.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
But I didn't know that they were not vectors for rabies.
I didn't either. I always assumed they...
I always assumed it too.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, growing up, I assumed possums were.
Yeah, I thought every wild... Yeah.
Turns out, not so much.
Yeah.
But anyway, I still think squirrels are just rats with fluffy tails.
They are.
But let that be a lesson.
Don't be feeding the
Leah,
squirrels.
don't be feeding those squirrels.
You will never catch me out there feeding a squirrel.
I didn't think I would. Well, Leah, unfortunately, we've hit that time.
We have.
That's all the time we have for this episode. Thank you for being here with me.
Well, thank you for having me.
And y'all out there listening, if you have a story that you would like us to cover or for us to tell, or if you have a question you'd like to have answered, or maybe needed a piece of advice on a topic or situation, email us here at the show. The email address is contactdownhomeshow@gmail.com. We welcome any and all input, comments, and words of encouragement, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, thanks for joining us. See you next time.